Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If becoming a mangaka in One Piece world. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. The series What If Transmigrated to a Medieval Pokémon World is now on hold, since we've caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Reincarnated in Bleach as Toshiro Hitsugaya? What if Reborn in Naruto World, continuation? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 841, Demon Slayer Again. The game world begins. As the anticipated anime series continued airing one after the other, from Attack on Titan, which was nearing its peak, to One Piece, catching up with the manga and currently in the Impel Down arc, and Naruto Shippuden, the favorite ninja anime, which had just entered a new arc where Sasuke finally freed himself from Orochimaru's grasp and was pursuing Itachi. Adding to this was the beloved samurai anime, Demon Slayer, which had just concluded its second season. The world of the seas was experiencing moments of joy, temporarily alleviating the sadness and heartbreak caused by the hiatus of the One Piece manga, which was undoubtedly the primary interest of the inhabitants of the seas. Although it was only a temporary break of 1 year, this year felt like decades to the die-hard One Piece fans. The past 4 months had been excruciatingly difficult for them, and there were still 8 long months left to endure, double the time they had already waited. In any case, there was no choice but to wait. This year of rest was well-deserved for Rob for the hard work he had put in so far, and the inhabitants of the pirate world understood this completely. After the broadcast of the final episode of Demon Slayer Season 2, the boisterous crowd dispersed, leaving behind a mix of complex emotions and unparalleled excitement. Sighs could be heard everywhere, especially in any art store locations. In Wano, as the massive art store screen disappeared into the air, Kinemon finally regained his composure after sitting on the edge of his seat the entire time, his expression tense and focused. They won after such a fierce battle. The sound Hashira was amazing. Holy hell, I've never seen a demon as terrifying as Jotaro. As expected of the upper moons. Sigh. The power level here is terrifying. I don't even know if I can keep up with one of the Hashira at my level, let alone a demon from the upper moon ranks. Kinemon was utterly stunned by the escalating intensity of the battles in this anime, episode after episode. He wasn't the only one. Even Oden had a serious expression as he watched the ending theme. The battle between Sound Hashira Tengen and Jotaro was horrifying. Even someone as strong as Tengen had almost died fighting this demon. Not to mention Tanjiro, who barely survived by sheer luck. If Jotaro is just the 6th upper moon serving Muzan and is already this strong, how powerful must Muzan, the Demon King, be? Oden felt an overwhelming desire to enter this world and fight demons. His sword, Enma, was practically itching to slice through a powerful demon like Muzan. Denjiro, Izo, Ashura Doji, Kikunajo, and the rest of the Akazaya had similar desires as well. If you want to fight the demons in this anime, that's not impossible, but it'll take some time. At that moment, Oden and his followers heard a familiar voice and turned one by one. When they recognized the owner of the voice, spontaneous smiles formed on their faces. Oden even laughed joyfully as he stepped forward to greet Rob more closely and warmly. "You finally visited us. After such a long time of absence, my brother, it's been too long. How have you been?" Oden patted Rob's shoulder warmly. Rob, with his hands in his pockets, emerged from the art store, walking toward the large audience plaza in an elegant black suit, styled like Sanji's. He had long since adopted this fashion. Rob returned Oden's warm greeting with equal kindness. Oden considered him a brother because of all Rob had done for him in Wano. This truth wouldn't change no matter what. Likewise, Rob saw Odin as a brother. After greeting Odin, he nodded at Kinemon and the others as well. These people were still the same as ever. Their competitive spirit remained unshaken, and their loyalty to Odin hadn't wavered despite the peace they were currently enjoying. Of course, Kanjuro was still acting flawlessly. Having lost hope in avenging the Kazuki clan, he seemed to have accepted his fate as part of Odin's retinue. But deep down, he remained treacherous, waiting for the right moment to strike. A moment that would never come, at least until his true nature was revealed in the manga. Rob didn't bother himself with this insignificant traitor. Even if he didn't, Kanjuro's time would be up when Rob eventually depicted the Wano arc in the near future. Is what you said true? After welcoming Rob, Odin finally remembered what Rob had mentioned earlier. Of course. I've already told you about the game world, haven't I? In my game world, anything is possible. Just give me time, and I'll make your wish come true. You can fight demons to your heart's content. Although they won't be able to match your strength, only Muzan can give you a real challenge. Rob smiled as he gave this assessment. He knew exactly Odin's current power level, which was on par with an average Yonko. This level of strength was greater than that of an admiral but still weaker compared to the likes of Roger and Newgate. In terms of power levels in the demon world, only the Demon King could reach the peak strength needed to face someone like Odin in that world. This was Rob's personal and highly reliable evaluation, even though he hadn't tested it yet. That's truly amazing. So your game world is already ready. Is that why you're here? Odin asked with a smile. That's right. Rob pulled a red invitation card from his pocket and handed it to Odin. With this card, you'll be able to enter the closed beta version of the One Piece game world. Only a few lucky people have received this card, which is the only way to access the game's beta version, Rob explained. Then I'll treasure it. Odin accepted the card gladly under the curious gazes of his followers. Now, let me explain how to enter the game world. The opening will be tomorrow. Listen carefully. Ohara. After returning from Wano, Rob spent the evening at his palace with his children and wives, all of whom were on an extended break from work. The art store was operating autonomously, and there was no need for the store's goddesses to manage it. Customers could purchase any drink or food they wanted from the numerous vending machines in the store. It opened at 8 a.m. and closed at midnight automatically, so Rob didn't bother hiring more people. The current number of store goddesses was more than sufficient. So tomorrow is the big day? Olivia asked with a smile, dressed in a stunning black gown that complemented her silver hair and blue eyes. She looked like a beautiful angel with a radiant smile on her face. Rob thought to himself that only her appearance as a store goddess in a maid outfit could rival her current captivating and enchanting look. Snapping out of his daze, he nodded with a smile. Yes, tomorrow the world will witness my game world. But the official launch will be a month later. For now, I'm only letting the strong people in to test things out and eliminate any bugs I haven't discovered yet. That was precisely why Rob was organizing this closed beta, to test the game, observe its efficiency, and refine it to perfection to avoid any risks that might arise when the general public joined later. After all, the game world was an open world. Anyone who had never ventured into these vast seas would now be able to sail, and guess what? Without fearing for their lives. The game world would give this world a massive boost. Even the world government would feel threatened and troubled. They'd dream day and night about taking the game world away from Rob after realizing its numerous advantages in the near future. Undoubtedly, even Emu would want to fight for it. Was Rob worried about this? Of course not. My dear. In the game, will I be able to go back 800 years in history? I mean, does the game world allow selecting a time from 800 years ago? At that moment of temporary silence, Toki, who was cradling Hiyori with unmatched maternal tenderness, asked the question. Rob tapped his finger on the armrest of his chair before sighing and replying, "Unfortunately, that's not possible at the moment, but it will be once I've finished drawing all the manga. The time you can enter is limited to what has been explored in the manga so far. The Void Century hasn't been addressed in the manga yet, so that's not possible. Hearing this, some of the light in Toki's eyes dimmed, but she still held on to hope after hearing it would be possible once the manga was complete. Rob was well aware of how mysterious Toki's background was, as he hadn't delved into it yet. She was a time traveler, from the Void Century. This was an immense and unimaginable backstory. No one knew this yet, as Toki hadn't shared it with anyone except Rob, and he didn't force her to reveal more details. For now, all of this remained a mystery to him. At least it would remain so until Toki chose to tell him willingly or until it was revealed in the manga when the Void Century was addressed. In this regard, Rob was completely patient. Chapter 842, The Black Rooms. The world of games, this idea had lingered in Rob's mind for years. From the very first moment he thought about it, he dreamed of finding a way, through the art store, to travel to other worlds, like the pirate world, a Stargate or something similar. But harsh reality slapped him hard. He wasn't lucky enough to be like those protagonists in the novels he read in his past life, who somehow managed to travel between anime worlds or even to those Chinese cultivation worlds of divine power, even when they were incredibly weak. Why was that? Because their cheats were simply absurd. While his cheat, despite being excellent, wasn't as illogical as those of the protagonists whose stories often ended in oblivion. All of this was because the absurdity of their cheats caused their self-destruction. The creators of such illogical cheats couldn't sustain their stories, and so their characters ended up disappearing before they even knew what hit them. Regardless of the power level they reached through those cheats, they ultimately fell and ceased to exist. Even if the author attempted to bring them back by brainstorming ways to save their protagonist and allow them to continue living, it was all in vain. By using such an illogical cheat, they had cut off all their true potential in one stroke, sealing their fate to fall no matter how high they climbed. Rob had understood this. He even once thought, what if I myself am one of those protagonists whose life is being written by someone sitting on their couch? Even the gods of the divine network who sent him here might just be fictional characters like himself. Perhaps even these very thoughts he was entertaining were permitted by that mysterious author. This line of thinking was terrifying to him, but it wasn't unthinkable. After all, in his previous life, he was an author of novels himself, and what he wrote bore similarities to what was happening to him now. Well, it doesn't matter. If that's the case, so be it. At least the person behind me hasn't sent me into the abyss of oblivion yet. I'm still here, with my family and everything I have. If he exists, I should thank him for everything he's given me. Rob drowned these strange thoughts in the depths of his mind as he looked at the large family he had gathered. The smiles on the faces of his children, his wives, his daughter Robin, their adopted daughters, the servants, and his disciples, they all had warm smiles and gazes filled with reverence for the man who had changed everything in this world. Rob was an immortal legend in their hearts, a god walking among them, interacting with them. Whatever their relationship with him, they took pride in it deep within their hearts. This was because this man had stopped tragedies, murder, rape, slavery, and the cycle of hatred among races single-handedly. Not only that, but he transformed all that hatred into love, spreading it throughout the world through his art. He was able to halt the tyranny of the world government, which to this day didn't know how to deal with this man, no, this god. Only gods could truly render an entity like the world government powerless. Like the sun god who did the same thing 800 years ago and left them helpless, even after his fall. Toki thought about this as she smiled softly, watching this enigmatic husband of hers. No matter how mysterious her own background was, it paled in comparison to his. They weren't even on the same level. His mystery transcended everything that could be considered logical in this world. Truly, I am blessed with this family, Rob thought, looking at the faces of each one of them before finally standing up. Above him sat Robin, now 6 years old, relaxed and happy as she played with her father's hair joyfully. This world of games will be a new revolution, the beginning of a new era, Rob said. They were currently inside the art store. There were no customers, only Rob's family and his friends. Among them were Isho, Mihawk, Daffy, Enel, and Rosinante, eager to test the closed beta version of the game. That's why they were there. Since this is a new era, you will all be pioneers of the new age. Upon entering, you'll be able to create a new character. You'll have a completely new body with new potential, and you'll be able to experience living a unique new life. In the future, when the second, third, fourth, and more game worlds appear, and the gaming worlds evolve into a unique multiverse, you'll be able to travel freely between worlds using the same body you create in the first game world. At that point, you will be gods of the multiverse. Your existence won't be limited to this world alone, you'll have the qualifications to pursue eternal life. Since you chose to stand by my side, this will naturally be the reward you deserve. Hearing this, Doflamingo's body trembled. The smile on his face grew wilder, his breathing became rough, and hundreds of thoughts raced through his mind and disappeared. He was thrilled and unimaginably excited, his anticipation bordering on madness. He wasn't the only one, even Mihawk, usually stoic, displayed excitement. The mere thought of honing his sword skills in other worlds and battling powerful characters he knew from different universes made his blood pump wildly. The same was true for Aisho, Enel, Rosinante, and the others. Alright, you are the pioneers here in Ohara, but there are other pioneers in different locations. All of you will enter the closed beta of the One Piece world. Your task is to discover bugs and flaws in the game. When you find them, you must log out immediately and inform me of what you discovered. Is that clear? Rob asked Mihawk and the others with a serious expression. Seeing this expression on Rob's face, the pioneers nodded firmly. Since it was a mission given by their leader, fulfilling it would naturally be their top priority, no matter what. As for their personal entertainment or how they would play the game, that would have to wait. Good, now take out your cards and follow me. The moment he said that, the art store began to glow with a light resembling milky white starlight. A new room formed inside the art store. A black, ink-like cube in stark contrast to the starlight. Above the black door, a white sign read, "Welcome to the gaming world." This black room was the gateway to the game worlds. In short, one could only enter the game world One Piece through this black room, which was part of the art store. The moment this black room materialized in the Ohara art store, similar black rooms appeared simultaneously in all 880 art stores around the world. Since today was exceptional, the art store was closed to customers. It was also a special day because it marked the first time something like this had happened, closed all day for maintenance, since the art store first opened. This event caused a massive wave of shock on the global forum, with conflicting opinions about the true reason for the closure of art stores worldwide and what this maintenance was. Naturally, many were worried that the closure might persist or become frequent. After all, the inhabitants of the pirate world couldn't live without the art store, which had become an integral part of their lives. It was like television in the modern era, present in almost every household, or more specifically, like the smartphone, a necessity in individual lives, where it was nearly impossible to find someone without one, regardless of their social status. That's how the art store had become for the inhabitants of the pirate world. Islands with an art store had become prosperous, capitals for nearby islands. Nearly everyone from neighboring islands dreamed of owning a home on an island with an art store. With the introduction of the gaming world, this desire would multiply hundreds, even thousands of times over. Fortunately, Rob personally oversaw the Sea Train project and the Global Maritime Transport Company. Travel within this world had been completely facilitated by Rob. When modern elements merge with the gaming world, Rob will undoubtedly introduce air travel into this world and ensure its safety. Everything good about the gaming world would be invested back into the pirate world, which was its center. After considering all this, Rob and his companions entered the Black Room. Finally, the world of games was here. Chapter 843, The Closed Beta of the Game. Part 1. Inside the Black Room, the walls were white, creating a stark contrast with the exterior. The guests' attention was drawn to the platform in the center, which resembled an ancient altar. On the altar's surface, a blue planet floated, about the size of a football. The planet appeared vividly alive, with clouds, blue seas, and numerous scattered landmasses of varying sizes across its surface. What stood out most were the two intersecting red lines at the planet's center. However, what was even more striking were the moons orbiting the planet, most of them shrouded in a thick layer of mist. Is this the shape of the world we live in? The usually shy Rosinante asked a question at this moment, completely captivated by the world's appearance. That's correct. This is how the world looks from outer space, Rob gave a surface-level answer, not wanting to delve too deeply into the matter. The world is a sphere. I always thought the world was an unimaginably vast flat plate, Isho said in astonishment. Since he was inside the art store, his vision was perfectly restored. If you were born on Sky Island, you wouldn't hold such a foolish assumption, Enel mocked. From Sky Island, the world below appears curved like a ball. Besides, our ancestors who came from the moon have documents clearly showing the planet's shape, he added. If the sun and the moon look like round disks in the sky, what's stopping the Earth we live on from having a similar overall shape? Doflamingo also scoffed. Well, I admit my thoughts were quite superficial. But I'm not alone, almost everyone in the world has such ideas. Not in Ohara. Everyone in Ohara knows such basic science. We moved past the debate on the world's shape centuries ago. Now, we are searching for the main reason behind the world's transformation. The world wasn't just scattered islands as it is now, Clover chimed in, adding to this fascinating discussion. Alright, enough of this pointless debate, Rob raised his hand, silencing everyone. Good. Since you're all here, I'll explain what the game world is, how it works, and its purpose. As for the rest, you'll discover it for yourselves when you decide to embark on the game. Hearing this, all the lucky attendees focused their attention. The sun shone brightly over Batarila Island. At that moment, a beautiful woman with light red hair and delicate freckles on her face was playing with two adorable children in her lap, relaxing under the warm sunlight. Roger stood near the house, gazing directly at this beautiful scene. After Rouge gave birth to both Ace and the other child, they faced a dilemma about naming the second baby, who turned out to be a boy rather than the girl they had expected to name Anne. The dilemma was resolved when Rob came and told them that the second child was Sabo, whom he had secretly transferred to Rouge after the death of his biological mother, who had been pregnant with him. Hearing Rob's explanation and the real motive behind this, both Rouge and Roger were dizzy and shocked at first but later accepted it happily. They praised Rob's divine ability to achieve such a feat. Not only had he saved Sabo, but he had also made him their child in this life. They couldn't ask for more. Thus, the boy's name was decided to be Sabo, Ace's biological brother in this life, a true twin. Aren't you coming? You're a store goddess. You won't need an invitation to join, Roger asked as he prepared to leave. If I go, who will take care of our children? Rouge smiled and replied, It's fine. You can go. Just tell me everything you encounter there later. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Alright, Roger smiled and left after taking one last look at the beautiful family he had. Roger reached the R.O. Jackson and boarded the ship, where his crew was waiting for him. The ship wouldn't sail, but since there was an art store on board, it was the perfect place to use the invitation card. Welcome back, Captain, the crew greeted Roger, who nodded with a smile and walked directly toward the art store in the ship's rear cabin. The crew quietly followed him as they all entered the art store. The first thing that caught their attention was the new black room labeled, The World of Games. They entered the room and were greeted by the same scene Duffy and the others had witnessed. At that moment, a small screen appeared under the room's ceiling. On the screen, Rob appeared. Roger, Rayleigh, and the others turned their attention to Rob, who seemed to have something to say. The New World. After losing track of the Blackbeard pirates on Jaya Island, the Whitebeard pirates returned empty-handed to the New World. But that didn't mean Newgate and his sons had given up on capturing Teach. They merely put it lower on their list of current priorities. Inside the black room in the art store aboard the Moby Dick, Newgate and his sons listened in silence to what Rob was explaining on the screen before them. He was elucidating aspects of the game world that they were unaware of. Since Whitebeard had also been invited to participate in the closed beta, his crew was entitled to be present as well. After all, to cover the entire world and uncover more loopholes, Rob needed a lot of manpower. Aurora Island. After the alliance between the Beasts Pirates and the Golden Lion Pirates fell apart due to the Golden Lion's imprisonment, Rob established an art store here to ensure Kaido fulfilled the agreement they had made. When Kaido exchanged his daughter, Yamato, for an art store in his territory, Rob gave him an invitation to the closed beta of the game world. This was to use him for the same purpose as the Whitebeard in Roger Pirates. In this way, Kaido got what he desired most, the art store, while Rob gained additional manpower. Inside the Black Room, Kaido and his crew, which included a new member, Jack, stared at the screen in silence. Even though entering this game world might turn them into pawns in Rob's hands, their cold and neutral relationship with Rob left them wary of falling into his trap. But what could Kaido do? He had a deal with Rob. Refusing to fulfill his part would certainly not end well for him. So they continued listening in silence. "Won't you remove these shackles from me? How am I supposed to play? You won't need your physical body to enter the game. Will you shut up? Huh? How am I supposed to swipe this card on that device while being chained?" Inside the art store at the Hunter Guild on Ring Hell Island, the Golden Lion Shiki was causing a headache for the hunters accompanying him in the Black Room. "Golden Lion, why don't you just be quiet?" Rob's voice came from the screen at that moment, startling Shiki momentarily. "Jihahaha. So it's the Sky Sword. It's been a while since we've seen each other. Your followers are rough with this old man. How am I supposed to escape even if I wanted to? I only asked for these shackles to be removed because they're annoying," Shiki said with a sorrowful tone. "Remove his shackles, Bullet. Bullet, World, Redfield, you three will accompany him into the game world. Make sure he behaves," Rob ordered. "Yes, boss," the three legendary hunters nodded. Douglas Bullet went to remove Shiki's shackles, and he had a violent expression on his face. Under the guard of 3 seasoned hunters, the Golden Lion Shiki couldn't act recklessly, no matter what wild ideas he had. Bullet's intimidating glare didn't faze Shiki in the slightest. He rubbed his freed hands with a crazed smile on his face as he stared at Rob on the screen, who began to speak. "The game world is an exact replica of the real world. When you enter, you'll be a player. That's the only difference between you and the non-playable characters you'll encounter in the game. In some missions, you may even meet your in-game counterparts. The game world is an open virtual world. However, at the low level, you will all start in the East Blue on a specific island. Only after completing the mission will you earn the right to expand your map. In certain missions, you'll need a navigator as a subordinate to complete the task and unlock new parts of the map." Rob continued explaining the game's features. His words were addressed to everyone preparing to experience the game soon. The more they listened, the more their expectations for the game world grew. If what they were hearing was true, it could all be summed up in one word: madness. Even Vegapunk felt like he was losing his mind. Chapter 844, The Closed Beta of the Game. Part 2. That card in your hand is the only way you can enter the game world. I specifically designed it to allow its holder to access the game world before the official launch date. Your presence here means you're a special individual. The holder of the red invitation card can bring their followers into the game world once before the official launch date. This means they'll play as a group, and all their crew members will be assigned as their followers when starting from level 1. The holder of the blue invitation card, however, can only enter alone, playing as a solo player. After Rob said this, Roger, Kaido, and Whitebeard looked at the red invitation cards in their hands and smiled as they realized their advantages. As for Shiki, Bullet, Redfield, and World, all of them had blue cards. The same applied to Mihawk, Esho, Doflamingo, and others. Step forward and place your cards on the altar in the center of the Black Room. Rob pointed to the altar, upon which the sea planet was floating. When you place your cards there, a special capsule will appear beside each of you. Since everyone is inside the art store, the size of each of your bodies has been adjusted to the natural height of a human. Hence, the capsules are perfectly sized for each of you. The time in the game world is much longer compared to real-world time. An hour for the player could be equivalent to over 10 years in the game world. Before the official game launch, character leveling is not possible, but executive skill training is, as it depends on your efforts. Remember, your primary mission is not to complete quests in the game world or expand the map, but to discover bugs and anomalies within the game world. Again, remember this. When you enter, don't be deceived. The world may appear real, but it is still a virtual world. Don't lose touch with reality. The most important thing is that everything you learn in the game world will carry over to reality. From now on, the balance of power in this world will no longer exist. But no matter how high you rise, I will always be the sky you cannot surpass. So if you have any reckless ideas, you'd better think carefully about them. Kaido shuddered under Rob's piercing gaze as he said this. Although Rob was only looking at him through the broadcast screen, Kaido was certain that his final words were directed squarely at him. But was Kaido afraid? Not at all. On the contrary, he was excited. The stronger his enemy was enough to drive him to despair, the more Kaido felt an insane urge to bring down the sky, as Rob called himself. Sky Sword. You truly are a formidable foe. But I am Kaido, and one day, I will surpass you. Just wait. Kaido suppressed his anger and hatred, keeping them hidden. He stepped forward and placed his red invitation card on the One Piece game altar. The altar glowed red, and dozens of capsules materialized out of thin air, capturing the attention of Kaido, Queen, King, Jack, and the rest of the Beast's pirates. So, this tiny thing will separate us from reality? How far has Rob mastered technology? First, the art store, and now this game he keeps talking about? I hope it's as exciting as he claims and doesn't disappoint me. Worororo. Kaido laughed as he approached a specific capsule, which opened on its own the moment he touched it. The capsule's design was simple, resembling a tall, white egg without any ornamentation, connected to the altar by a white cord. Kaido and his followers entered their capsules silently, without any commotion. A similar scene occurred with Roger's pirates, Whitebird's pirates, and Shiki's group. Rob stood quietly, watching as everyone entered the white capsules. What do these capsules do? Olivia, standing beside him, asked at that moment. She had no intention of starting the game yet, she would join when the time came. Even Robin, sitting under his shoulder, felt curious. The same curiosity arose in Yamato, Hancock, Sonia, and Marigold. The role of these capsules is simple. They allow the soul to transfer into the game world while perfectly protecting the body and maintaining the link between the body and the soul. Without this capsule, the soul could enter the game world but wouldn't be able to return. Rob explained carefully. Olivia's eyes widened as she realized the gravity of the matter. So, it's closer to death than ever before? That's why the game world is located inside the art store. Everyone is safe here, so you can play with peace of mind. Olivia realized her mistake and smiled gently. That's true. There's no place safer in this world than the art store. Roger opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was darkness, followed by a screen of light appearing before him in the next moment. It seemed mysterious yet tangible, as Roger realized at that moment. This is interesting, Roger said as the first words appeared on the screen of light. Welcome, player, to the game world One Piece. What name would you like to use in the game? Note, player names cannot be changed once decided. Roger hesitated for a moment before deciding on his in-game name. Since my counterpart already exists in the game world, there can't be two Rogers. Let's go with Gold. Roger decided his in-game name would be Gold, unaware that this seemingly random choice would become a legendary name, impossible to surpass in the rankings. Since the player is male, gender has been set automatically. What age would you like to assign to your character? Being 18 years old sounds very interesting. Roger thought for a while before settling on the beginning of adulthood. What race would you like to choose? You can select from the following options. When this question appeared, Roger's interest grew. His eyes fell on the many races available for selection, but unfortunately, most of them were locked and unavailable. Humans, long arms, long legs, long necks. Fishmen, minks, giants, dwarves, Scythians, cyborgs, and so much more. Oh, even rare races like Lunarians, ancient giants, and demons. There are races I've never even heard of. My God. Bad, bad, bad. Most of these races can't be selected, they're all locked. Why is that, Rob? I can't even choose to become a giant. Are you mocking me? I can only pick fishmen, some human variants, or minks. Fine, no problem. I'll go with the human race. Once Roger decided on the race of his character, new and interesting words appeared. Race or additional races can be changed as your character levels up. The world is unimaginably vast, so don't be disheartened. As if the system sensed Roger's disappointment, it consoled him at that moment. Wahahaha. That's definitely Rob comforting me. Fine, no problem. Humans are the best race anyway. You can design your character as you wish using this template. Please maintain flexibility. Use these assistance tools to customize your in-game character, player. At that moment, the scene shifted, revealing a humanoid template resembling a younger version of Roger, which bore an uncanny resemblance to Ace. The template was bald and naked, requiring Roger to make all the adjustments. This is really interesting. Wah-aha! Let's add some hair. Oh, my precious mustache. There's no way I'm starting this new journey without my mustache. Ah, but how can an 18-year-old have such a manly mustache? Oh, forget it, it's fine. Even young people can have manly mustaches. Author's note, just imagine Ace with Roger's mustache, that's Gold's character design. Oh, I'll add this straw hat. Amazing, it looks just like my old one. Add this belt, and this gun. Oh, why is it unloaded? No problem. What about this sword? Why doesn't it work? Is it just an accessory? So the gun is, too? Damn you, Rob. Why are you so stingy? Oh. This captain's coat is fantastic. I love it, let me add it. How majestic. After finishing his character design, Roger stood awestruck at his masterpiece. This man will be the Pirate King. Wahahaha. Let's start the journey. Chapter 845, Open World Game. Garararara. This is so very interesting. Whitebeard stood astonished and deeply impressed by the incredible character he had created in the game. He had chosen the human race as his main race, just like Roger. His character was 20 years old, 3 meters tall, with a muscular but not exaggerated build, long blonde hair reaching his shoulders, and the signature crescent-shaped mustache of Whitebeard. It was an exact replica of his younger self when he was 20, but with a white mustache. There's no way I'm giving up my white mustache. Garararara. Something's still missing. Yes. I can add tattoos, right? This is awesome, there are so many pirate emblems I can tattoo anywhere on the body. Oh, it's my own emblem. Perfect timing. Whitebeard quickly customized his pirate emblem as a tattoo and placed it on his character's back in the game. He then dressed his character in simple pants with a red sash, a majestic white coat, and a pirate captain's hat. Additionally, he added another tattoo of his pirate emblem on the back of the white coat and on the front of the pirate hat. Magnificent! Only now did Newgate experience the same excitement Roger had earlier. Do you want to confirm this character design? The character cannot be edited again through the system after confirmation. You can only develop your appearance manually within the game. Whitebeard carefully read the words on the white screen before taking one last look at the character template he had crafted so meticulously. Perfect. Still flawless in my eyes. Alright, confirm it. Whitebeard gave the command, and the words on the screen vanished. Before he knew it, he was engulfed in a bright light, and his previously unseen form, in this space, began to gradually take shape. Only now could Whitebeard see his arms and legs. The exact figure he had customized earlier appeared as his form. I feel different, like I've gone back to the beginning of my life. This feeling, it's so real. Is this really a game? Whitebeard was immersed in his current sensation. It felt as though he had returned to his youth, back when he was still a frail and ordinary human. Player character set. Title, Whitebeard, 20 years old. Level 0, 10 EXP to upgrade. Profession, none, upgrade profession after level 10. Followers, 30 followers, players from the same team. A starter village will be assigned randomly upon transfer. The map will be determined accordingly. Get ready. Garararara. Bring it on, I'm ready. The next moment, Whitebeard vanished from his spot as though he had never been there. The east blew, on a certain beach in the Konomi archipelago. At this moment, a strange distortion occurred as dozens of people materialized out of nowhere. Roger opened his eyes and took in the world around him. Gentle waves lapped against the golden shore, a soft breeze brushed against Roger's face, and he felt refreshed. It was the familiar sensation of the sea. It felt real, not just a visual or sensory illusion. This is so real. Is this the game world? Where is this place? It must be in the East Blue. Behind Roger, his crew members were also amazed by this virtual reality that was indistinguishable from actual reality. That's a seagull, right? Why does it look so real? Are we still in a game? Buggy pointed at a flock of seagulls flying nearby. His in-game form was much taller and muscular, but his signature round red nose and blue hair remained unchanged. This was the character design he had chosen after much deliberation. Bahahaha. Buggy. Why do you still have that round red nose even in the game? As soon as Buggy spoke, Shanks noticed him and burst into laughter upon seeing his red nose juxtaposed with his massive build. The combination looked hilariously out of place. What's your problem with my nose? Did you say red? Damn you. It's you, Shanks, isn't it? Buggy immediately recognized Shanks despite his drastically different in-game appearance. Shanks' character was much taller, exceeding 2 meters, and he had chosen black hair instead of red, making him resemble Rob. Enough, you two. An elderly man with white hair and white glasses stepped in to stop the bickering between Buggy and Shanks. Who are you, old man? Don't tell me you're Rayleigh-san? Why did you choose such an old form? Ugh, don't remind me. I thought my older appearance looked majestic, so I made this mistake. Now I'm already feeling back pain. Rayleigh was utterly disheartened at this moment. Wahahaha. Hearing this, Roger burst out laughing at his friend's misfortune. Ha ha ha. How pitiful. Did you think you'd retain your strength here? Even Gabon laughed from the sidelines. Gabon's appearance was similar to Shanks, but with additional accessories such as black sunglasses, Roger's pirate crew emblem tattooed on his muscular shoulder, and 2 pistols strapped to his yellow belt. That's right, all of us are at level 0, which means we're only as strong as ordinary people. Maybe even some regular folks are stronger than us. Oh no, does this mean we need to be careful? How do we level up? Roger narrowed his eyes as something caught his attention. Something everyone else had overlooked since their arrival. These words above your head? Wait, is that your player name and level? Can you all see it, guys? Hearing Roger's words, Shanks quickly responded, Yes, Captain, it says in black right above your head, Gold, level 0. So that's it. This game is getting more interesting. Can you see the small box that moves along your line of sight wherever you look? Roger asked another question. Yes, I can see it, Buggy answered loudly this time. Alright, think of the word open. Buggy naturally thought about opening the small box, which astonishingly transformed into something resembling an open treasure chest. From the chest, an ancient scroll unfurled itself, displaying familiar words. Status. Title, Buggy D. Clown. Level, 0, 10 EXP to upgrade. Profession, none, upgrade profession after level 10. Attribute. Subordinate player, to remove this attribute, the player must request release from the leader. This scroll was called the status. There was another scroll in the chest, which Buggy quickly opened. Map. Sea region, East Blue. Current location, Konomi Islands, Kokoyashi Village, starter village number 4. An ancient map appeared, clearly marking only the spot they were standing on, in a small circle that expanded as Buggy walked further. The rest of the areas were shrouded in mystery. At least we know where we are. So, this place is Starter Village number 4? There must be a Starter Village number 1, number 2, number 3, maybe number 5, and even more? Amazing! Roger was enjoying the details far more than his crew. This virtual world was simply incredible. It was theirs to explore. Since the game replicates the manga's world, and we're in Kokoyashi Village, doesn't this mean we're in Arlong's territory? Don't tell me we'll have to fight the fishmen to level up. Oh, man. That realization just hit me. Only now did Roger's pirates realize their predicament. Being at the start of the game, they were far too weak compared to the fishmen. Let alone Arlong. Shishishi. You're an interesting one with that strange white mustache. Join my crew. Aboard a cruise ship sailing across the East Blue, Whitebeard stood in front of a wooden barrel he had just opened when a boy with a straw hat emerged and began laughing at his crescent-shaped white mustache. He laughed so hard that tears began streaming from his eyes. When he finally stopped laughing, he made the offer. The entire time, Whitebeard simply smiled. He had encountered the protagonist at the very start of the game. You have a mission, Pirate Monkey D. Luffy invites you to join his crew. Accept, reward 10 EXP plus unlock the pirate profession without needing to reach level 10. Decline, nothing. Note, accepting this mission will fulfill the requirements for a chain quest. Become the first mate of the future Pirate King. Quest, become the first mate of the future Pirate King, help Monkey D. Luffy become the Pirate King. At that moment, dozens of notifications suddenly popped up before Whitebeard, almost making him lose his balance. Chapter 846, Game Over. Garararara. Do you want to recruit me? Me, Whitebeard? You've got guts, kid. What's your name? Whitebeard's eyes gleamed with interest as he closely observed the scene unfolding before him. He recalled that this scene was exactly how the first chapter of the manga had begun, except this time, it was him opening the barrel instead of Luffy waking up and smashing it open himself. After Whitebeard opened his eyes in the game world, he realized he was on a ship. His crew had also transferred with him to the same beginner's village, known as Beginner's Village number 2. Isn't this a beginner's ship rather than a village? Whitebeard thought with slight sarcasm before ordering his sons to spread out across the ship and gather information. The primary objective was to monitor for any anomalies in the game world. This was what Rob had asked of them. However, they also needed information on how to progress in the game so the Whitebeard pirates could establish a foothold and enjoy the benefits of this new world. Upon entering the game and seeing how identical it was to the real world, Whitebeard immediately understood the enormity of the situation. If 1 hour in the real world equated to 10 years in the game, then 1 hour of training in the game would be worth 10 years in reality. I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will become king of the pirates. Luffy emerged from the barrel, placed his hand on his hat, and answered with an innocent smile. Seeing this familiar scene, Whitebeard smiled as well. The quest notifications were still flashing in his vision, but he ignored them for now. What's the point of accepting or rejecting quests if leveling up isn't yet possible in the game? Asen, your mustache is awesome. Shishishi. Why don't you join my crew? You'd be my first mate. You feel different, there's a heroic aura about you that reminds me of someone dear to me. Luffy laughed as he spoke. If you want to invite me to your crew, you'll first have to defeat me in battle. As soon as Whitebeard said this, a wide grin spread across Luffy's face, and he became visibly excited. A battle? Sure. Alvida's pirates are attacking? We're definitely in the events of the first episode. Marco clenched his fists with excitement as he watched Alvida's pirate ship surround the merchant ship. Marco's in-game avatar looked remarkably similar to him, even down to his hairstyle. The name floating above his head read, Phoenix. What do we do? Should we keep investigating game bugs, or should we intervene in the pirate merchant ship conflict? Vista, who stood beside Marco, asked bluntly. Vista was extremely tall, with a muscular, scarred, dark-skinned body. His intimidating appearance was deliberately designed to scare both NPCs and other players into complying with quests easily, even at low levels. When Vista had shared this strategy earlier, his crewmates had been stunned by both his cleverness and their own lack of it. "Have you found any bugs in the game yet, Black Swordsman?" Marco asked Vista, using his in-game title. "Actually, no, Phoenix," Vista replied sheepishly while scratching the back of his head. "This world seems flawless, it's so real I can't even believe I'm inside a game. I bet those people on the merchant ship and Alvida's pirates think they're real characters, too," Marco said, astonished. "Ha! Are you two idiots? Of course, we're completely real. Are you so scared of pirates that you think you're dreaming or something?" At that moment, an orange-haired girl approached Marco and Vista and overheard their conversation. Both men immediately recognized her. "That's right, we're scared of pirates, so we're hiding here," Vista admitted, embarrassed. "Who would believe that a scary, muscular guy like you would be afraid?" Nami teased, looking at Vista. "What can I say, little girl? One hand can't defeat 10, there are too many of them." Vista played along, hoping to discover a potential game glitch in Nami's behavior. But then something strange happened. Nami began to speak, but no sound came out. Instead, tiny bubbles floated out of her mouth and popped as they rose. Her lips moved naturally, but there was no sound, only visible bubbles. Marco and Vista rubbed their eyes, but the scene didn't change. They continued to witness the bizarre sight. "Can you hear her?" Marco asked. "No," Vista replied. "Do you see the bubbles?" "Yes." Could this be a bug in the game? Marco wondered. If it's not a bug, what else could it be? I don't recall Nami being able to blow bubbles when she talked. Hearing what they were saying, Nami was left speechless. She had been trying to tell them to find a safe place, but it seemed like they were outright ignoring her. Are they really this stupid? Nami shrugged and walked away. She didn't have time to waste on these fools. She needed to sneak onto the pirate ship and steal their treasure. Yotsuba Island region, in Shell's town. I never imagined in my life that I'd end up as a marine soldier. What a joke. Kaido sneered as he looked at his hands. When he appeared in this place, he was already surrounded by marines. Because of his massive, muscular form and that of his companions, King and the others, he had been forcibly recruited by Morgan. Despite their muscular, human bodies, their current level made it impossible to fight Morgan. Their carefully chosen, impressive outfits had been replaced by filthy marine uniforms, and they were assigned to menial tasks like cleaning buildings and maintaining Morgan's statue. Even with their towering frames, they were the laughingstock of this marine base. Kaido, whose in-game title was Blue Dragon, gripped the broom in his hand tightly, trying to break it. But it barely cracked after much effort. Damn it! My strength is like that of a newborn baby. If I'd known, I wouldn't have chosen this heavy body. It's only hindering my mobility without providing any benefit. Could this be considered a game bug? Kaido fumed. If it's not a bug, what else could it be? I can barely breathe. I feel utterly exhausted. Queen complained, struggling with his obese in-game body, which he had chosen, thinking it would make challenges easier to overcome. Sigh. I think this is our fault. We should have picked simpler character designs, King said. Among them, King had the least bulky physique. His large frame was slightly more proportionate, giving him a slight edge over Kaido, Queen, and Jack. What a ridiculous game. If I had my real strength, I'd crush that fool Morgan. Jack growled. The rest of the beast's pirates found themselves in similar predicaments. Still, being forced into the Marines isn't so bad, the rewards are great. We all gained 10 EXP. If leveling up were allowed in the closed beta, we'd all have leveled up by now. I'm sure the issue with heavy bodies will resolve itself as our levels increase, Kaido explained, showing his practical side. Is that Zoro? King, from atop a marine building, noticed a man tied up in the square. That green hair. It's definitely Zoro. So, we're at the start of the manga's events. Amazing. How are we supposed to play this game? This was Beginner's Village number 1. So far, none of the players had figured out how to play the game. All they knew was that at level 0, even defeating a regular person was challenging, let alone someone like Morgan. We'll have to wait for Luffy. At least every quest given to us by a marine turns into an official system quest with experience points as a reward. By the time the game officially launches, we'll have enough EXP to reach level 10. Then, we can switch from the marines to the pirates. Wararararo. That's when the real rise of the beast pirates begins. This world will know the terror of the beast pirates. To my counterpart in the new world, wait for me. I, the blue dragon, am coming to overthrow you. Wararararo. Just thinking about being able to fight myself in this game fills me with endless excitement. Kaido exclaimed, lost in his euphoria. He didn't notice the rope he was holding had slipped from his grip. Ah! Oh no! It's falling! At that moment, the massive statue of Morgan collapsed, crashing down on Kaido and his group. They turned into a heap of crushed bodies before they could even scream. You have died. Game over. Chapter 847, Overcrowded Beginner Village number 3. You have died. Game over. These blood-red words, accompanied by swirling pirate skulls, appeared on the shattered system interface, which darkened before Kaido and his followers. The pain that attacked them was so intense it resembled the agony of death. It was so overwhelming that they couldn't even scream, they lacked the strength due to its sheer severity. Luckily, it only lasted for a brief moment, less than a second, before vanishing. This happened because Rob noticed the fatal flaw at that exact moment and mitigated it, allowing Kaido and his companions to sigh in relief. Experiencing the pain of death was the worst agony they'd ever felt in their lives. One could only imagine the pain of being turned into minced meat. Oops. What a terrible mistake. I forgot to adjust the pain settings in the game. Luckily, Kaido and his crew were the first to test it. This is truly a deadly error. Even though experiencing such pain isn't fatal, it would paralyze many innocent souls, and that's not something I want to see. Rob sighed as his tense brows relaxed. He had always felt like he was forgetting something, which is why he organized the closed beta before the official launch. Only by personally testing the game could the hidden flaws from production be discovered. The game's production was already complete. One art store had been sacrificed to create this game world. However, the completion of production didn't mean the game was flawless or that players could enter this world without precautions. What happened to Kaido and his crew was the perfect example of this. The difficulty level of this game cannot be altered, but the pain scale can be adjusted to 3 levels. As Rob said this, his thoughts moved swiftly, and an absolute law swept through the game world. Acceptable pain, recommended. Moderately painful, not recommended. Realistic pain, locked until level 50. These were the 3 pain levels Rob had set. From now on, players would need to choose between acceptable pain and moderately painful. But the realistic level would remain inaccessible because it could genuinely harm them. No one would want to experience true pain, especially at low levels, where the mortality rate was high. Experiencing the pain of death wasn't a joke. For this reason, at least until reaching level 50, the realistic level would remain locked. After resolving this error, Rob relaxed a bit. Now, he was genuinely benefiting from the closed beta. As for the difficulty levels, Rob could adjust those too, but he chose not to. The game wasn't simple, this wasn't just a virtual world. If he allowed players to exploit the game with an easy mode, why would anyone want to play on the harder difficulties? Thus, realistic difficulty was the only option. This game offered players the chance to grow stronger in reality, acquire wisdom, and master combat skills. Sometimes, they could even retrieve items from the game into the real world. Why would Rob allow them to gain all of this easily? If they wanted benefits, they would need to fight for them. Rob merely provided the opportunity, they needed to figure out how to seize it themselves. At that moment, Kaido and his cruise capsules opened, and they stepped out with grim expressions. Why is this damn game so hard? We died that quickly. How the hell did we even die? Kaido roared furiously. Actually, that was your fault, Kaido-san. You let go of your rope, and Morgan's statue crushed us into minced meat because the other Marines couldn't catch it in time, King responded calmly. Unlike his enraged captain, he wasn't angry at all, just a little disappointed. He had wanted to explore more of the game world but couldn't do anything now. They had lost, and that was an unchangeable fact. That pain I felt in that moment. It really felt like I was dying, Queen shuddered as he recalled the sensation that attacked his senses when the stone statue crushed him. Don't mention it. Don't mention it. I'm still trembling because of it. Jack's response was the same. The rest of the beast pirates behind them nodded fearfully. It had been a harrowing experience. How was the experience? Did you enjoy the game? At that moment, Rob's voice echoed from the screen on the ceiling of the dark room. Kaido, Queen, King, and Jack all looked at Rob's smiling face and couldn't help but feel a chill of terror toward this man with such divine methods. The art store, his overwhelming power, and now the game world. These achievements could no longer be explained by devil fruit abilities alone. The mystery of Rhodes D. Rob had lingered in their minds for a long time, only deepening over time. Now, they couldn't deduce anything, no matter how much they thought. Rob's combat strength wasn't as terrifying as the resources he possessed. The enigma surrounding him was like the fog covering their in-game map. How could they uncover this man's mystery? Would advancing in the game levels allow them to decipher him? Will reaching level 100 be enough? Or will I need to go beyond that? Kaido's train of thought stopped when Rob spoke again. Tell me what you discovered in the game world. Was there anything unusual? You entered beginner village number 1. Your map has already been updated. You'll always start there, Rob said gently, but his tone was commanding. They couldn't hide anything from him. Through them, Rob could identify anomalies and fix them. Even as the creator of the game world, he couldn't oversee everything on his own. It would take decades to do so alone. If muscular bodies can be considered a flaw in your game, Kaido started, but Rob interrupted him. That's not a major flaw, but I've already fixed it. Tell me what you found. Quickly, before I lose my patience. This time, Rob's expression turned cold, making Kaido feel uneasy. Before Kaido could speak, King hurriedly said, Sir Rob, we did notice something unusual. When Morgan attacked with his axe hand, it bent strangely and struck his own head. However, there was no blood or pain in his expression. He seemed unaffected, as if he had succeeded in hitting us instead. That's definitely a glitch. What could have caused it? Hearing this, Rob acknowledged that it was indeed a bug in the game and needed fixing to make it appear natural. Is that all? Rob asked again. Yes, Sir Rob. That's all. We wouldn't dare lie to you, Albert replied with a sincere expression. Good. Rob nodded, and the screen disappeared. Kaido and his crew didn't dare linger in the art store and left in a hurry. Inside the game. Gecko Islands, Syrup Village. Where did all these people come from? Koro stood staring at the sight of so many people tirelessly watering flowers and pulling weeds in the mansion's garden. Koro, a pirate disguised as Klahadore, was a servant in Kaya's mansion. Aren't they interesting? They're working so hard, and the expressions they give me when they look my way are so sweet. I feel like they're genuinely excited to meet me, Kaya said, gazing through the window at the dozens of men and women in the garden. The scene was indeed lively in Kaya's mansion garden. Many solo players had gathered here: Doflamingo, Enel, Rosinante, Isho, Mihawk, Belmere, Gloriosa, and Shaki. Even Golden Lion Shiki, Redfield, World, and Bullet were present. Beginner Village number 3 was clearly the most crowded in the game's closed beta. Not only were there numerous players from Ohara, but many hunters participating under Rob's orders. All of them came from Ring Hell, the Hunter's Island. Oi, so many unfamiliar faces. Why are they dressed so weirdly? They're all ridiculously tall. Who are they? Where did they come from? Behind the hedge surrounding the mansion, 4 pairs of eyes secretly observed the scene. One pair, with a long nose beneath them, belonged to Usopp, while the other 3 belonged to his followers, Ninjin, Pillman, and Tamanaji. Maybe they're new workers hired by Kaya-sama. That's not unusual for her, one of the kids replied to Usopp. What if they're pirates who've secretly infiltrated the village, aiming for Kaya's wealth? Usopp exclaimed with a terrified expression. His reaction frightened the trio, who screamed, "Pirates! Shoo! Quiet! They'll hear us!" Usopp quickly covered their mouths. These kids almost got us caught. Those people look really scary. They could be pirates. Why does Kaya trust strangers so easily? I've told her repeatedly not to, Usopp muttered, suspicious and gloomy. He was genuinely worried about Kaya's safety. At that moment, his head turned oddly backward as he stood up. I have to investigate their origins. I am the great Usopp. With my millions of pirate followers, why would I fear these people? Though his head was turned backward, the scene appeared normal to the 3 children. They thought Usopp was showing off his bravery and had no idea that a glitch in the game had caused this strange phenomenon. Chapter 848, Captain Koro vs. Player Mihawk. Status. Title, King of Strings. Level, 0, 10 EXP to level up. Profession, none, upgrade profession after level 10. Race, human. Attribute, solo player, when forming a team, you will be the leader, when joining a team, you will be a follower. Map. Sea region, East Blue. Current location, Gecko Islands, Syrup Village, Beginner Village number 3. Doflamingo carefully examined the 2 open scrolls. Both had emerged from the wooden chest as soon as he had opened it with a mere thought. This was his current state, one that was similar to every other player at the beginning, surrounded by a fog-covered map with only the areas they traversed fully visible, like Kaya's mansion. Interesting. This game truly exceeds expectations. I didn't expect it to be this realistic. The teacher is truly a genius. Doflamingo stared at the sickle in his hand. His current task was to cut the weeds in the garden. Of course, he would never agree to such menial work in real life, but in the game, it was different. When they appeared in the game, they were already inside Kaya's mansion garden. As Kaya stepped out of the mansion, accompanied by Mary, she asked him, "Who are these people?" Mary, startled for a moment, quickly replied, "My lady, perhaps they're here for the employment request you instructed me to post last week." Kaya nodded in understanding, then smiled gently at the unfamiliar faces. Her pale face, worn from illness, didn't stop her from addressing the newcomers with grace. "Since you're already here, I hope you'll take good care of the garden." As soon as she spoke, her words transformed into an official task on the player's system interfaces. Group task, team up with the players around you to trim, clean, and care for the garden's plants and trees. Reward, 1,200 berries, 5 EXP, and beginner-level gardening skill. Of course, Mihawk, Daffy, the Golden Lion, and the others weren't particularly interested in the gardening skill. They were far more focused on gaining experience points, so they accepted the task without hesitation. Even though leveling up wasn't possible in the game's closed beta, the experience points they earned would still be theirs to keep. This was why the players were currently working diligently to complete the task. It took them an entire day to finish the group task. Due to their low levels, their stamina was severely limited, leaving them utterly exhausted by the end of the day. Jihahaha. That little girl Kaya still doesn't know the truth about Klahadore. Why not reveal his true identity and see her reaction? Night had fallen, and most of the players had already gone to sleep, scattered across the garden. However, Shiki remained awake, staring at the illuminated room that belonged to Kaya. His character design was simple. A young blonde man with black sunglasses and flamboyant orange clothing. His thick blonde hair resembled the iconic mane of the Golden Lion. "What are you plotting, Golden Lion?" Beside him was Bullet, who had a lean character design and dark skin. He was still awake. How could he sleep when his primary mission was to keep an eye on the golden lion? I'm thinking about how to make this game more exciting. Jihahaha. Don't you think the same? We all know Kuro is Klahadore. If we expose his true identity, don't you think we'll unlock more missions? Why should we waste time trimming the garden? Shiki simply wanted to experiment with a new line of thinking, searching for more quests to quickly level up his character once released from prison. After all, unlike the other players, he was a prisoner. Only by regaining his freedom could he fully participate in the game. This closed beta was his one and only chance. Once the game officially launched, he wouldn't get another opportunity until his sentence was served, and waiting that long was unbearable. You're insane. Fine, go ahead and try, Bullet said, not stopping him. In fact, he was curious to see Shiki embarrass himself. Why would he stop Shiki? After all, Rob had sent him here precisely to uncover the game's bugs. Even if Shiki didn't want to explore the game, Bullet, Redfield, and World were tasked with forcing him to do so. Oi! Lady Kaya, are you still awake? Shiki stood beneath the tree outside Kaya's bedroom window, calling out loudly. My lady, before Shiki could finish his second shout, his world flipped upside down as his head rolled off and hit the ground. A stream of blood gushed from his severed neck, splattering onto the face of a handsome man adjusting his glasses with the edge of his palm. It was Kuro, who had decapitated Shiki with his claws. Before Shiki's headless body could hit the ground, Kuro swiftly grabbed it and retreated to a dark corner to temporarily hide the corpse. What Kuro didn't notice as he departed was that the body disintegrated into dust the next moment. He killed him. Bullet swallowed hard as he watched the distant scene unfold. World, Redfield, and the others were also awake and witnessed the spectacle. The same went for Mihawk, Isho, Daffy, Rosinante, and Enel, who had been roused by the commotion. What should we do? He's coming our way. Did he hear us talking about his secret? That's possible. Run. At our current levels, we're no match for him. We'll die instantly. The players were fully aware of their grim reality, but one person didn't back down. Instead, he walked directly toward Kuro. Brave, or just stupid? Kuro remained expressionless as he watched the young man with hawk-like eyes approach him. Mihawk held a sickle in his hand, the same one he had used earlier in the day to cut weeds. New mission. Feeling uneasy about the sudden influx of people who might interfere with his plan, Kuro, disguised as Klahadore, stayed awake to investigate their presence. Due to a mistake by one of the players, Kuro has decided to eliminate all the newcomers. Without a doubt, you are now his target. Fight for your life. Survival rewards, 100 EXP, all of Captain Kuro's skills, bounty reward. 16 million berries. Mihawk ignored the flurry of notifications that appeared on his system interface, focusing entirely on the enemy intent on taking his life. I haven't felt this weak in years. The enemy is definitely not strong, but my low level is holding me back. Above Kuro's head was the label in red, Klahadore, Captain Kuro, level 13. Meanwhile, Mihawk's level was 0. The disparity was glaring. As a player known as Hawkeyes, Mihawk simply wanted to see if he could pull off something shocking. Clang! Kuro's claws clashed with Mihawk's sickle, which didn't last even a second before shattering like butter. Kuro's claws were undoubtedly sharp. Mihawk's impression of them was clear. He had seen Kuro fight both Luffy and Zoro in the anime, and earlier in the manga. Looking at the broken sickle in his hand without any change in expression, Mihawk used its remaining half to stab forcefully at Kuro's chest. Kuro vanished from sight, but in the next moment, blood splattered as Mihawk's arm was severed at the elbow, leaving him writhing in unbearable pain. How interesting. You're this weak, yet fearless. Why aren't you afraid of me? Kuro asked with mild curiosity, adjusting his glasses. Afraid of you? We'll meet again for another fight. Mihawk's words trailed off as his head was severed from his body in a bloody spectacle. Defeating a level 13 NPC at the start was impossible. You've dead. Game over. Chapter 849, Luffy vs. Player Whitebeard. Baratai Restaurant. Returning to beginner village number 2, Alvida's pirates had already taken control of the merchant ship and were now holding the passengers hostage. Among the hostages trapped by Alvida's pirates were players from the Whitebeard crew. Jozu, nicknamed the Diamond in the game, observed Alvida's pirates with interest and whispered to his comrades beside him, "These pirates are all above level 5. The average level of passengers here is level 2. In our current state, we're even weaker than these terrified passengers." Jozu remained calm despite being unable, along with the other players, to manage the situation. "There's no way we can resist these thugs. Isn't this the moment when Luffy is supposed to act?" said Curiel, one of the commanders of the Whitebeard pirates. Boom! At that moment, a loud crashing sound was heard as a massive body was sent flying, smashing through the wooden walls of the ship. "HM? Who's fighting here?" Alvida, holding her spiked iron club, was ordering her crew to hurry up and loot everything valuable on the merchant ship when the commotion interrupted her. What a massive man, and a strange white mustache. Kobe, standing next to Alvida, described the man who had crashed through several wooden walls. "Oh Yaji!" Several players among the crowd of passengers shouted when they saw Whitebeard in this state. Whitebeard opened his eyes, his expression grim with pain. "Shishishi. Asen, why are you so weak? That punch earlier was weak, but I didn't expect it to send you flying so easily." Luffy appeared, heading toward the gathered crowd at that moment. Above Luffy's head, his name and level were displayed, level 15. Of course, level 15 couldn't compare to Whitebeard and the other players, who were all level 0 in this closed beta version of the game. "You're really strong, young man." "Gorararara." Whitebeard laughed, not having felt this weak in a long time. The current scene reminded him of a particular event from the past. Back then, he had been beaten by Rox D. Zebek and utterly defeated. The difference in strength during that battle was similar to the gap between him and Luffy now. Whitebeard spat blood mixed with a few teeth as he stood up, still smiling. He couldn't believe that the great Whitebeard would see a day when he was this powerless. "Even though you're weak now, you'll definitely become very strong in the future. Join my crew. Let's go to the Grand Line together. I'll become the Pirate King." Luffy crossed his arms, smiling at Whitebeard, no longer considering fighting the weak Whitebeard seriously. "Become the Pirate King? Ha 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 ha." It seemed Alvida had just heard the funniest joke ever and burst out laughing. "HM? Who's this fat woman?" Luffy pointed at Alvida and asked Whitebeard, seemingly curious. "F fat. Did he really say that? Did we hear him right?" The jaws of Kobe and the rest of Alvida's pirates dropped to the ship's floor upon hearing this. Even Alvida's mouth opened wide in shock, as if she hadn't processed what she just heard. Once the realization hit, Alvida screamed. "Kobubi!" The color drained from Kobe's face as he stammered nervously, "Why yes, Alvida-sama? Who is the most beautiful woman in the East Blue?" Alvida demanded. "It's you, Alvida-sama," Kobe answered fearfully. "The most beautiful woman in the East Blue, this fat woman?" Luffy tilted his head in confusion, unable to see the truth that Kobe apparently did. Alvida's forehead creased in anger at hearing the word fat a second time from this idiot's mouth. Gripping her iron club tightly, she attacked Luffy. "I'll crush you. It's over." He's angered Alvida-sama. He's doomed. Before Whitebeard and the other players, the scene from the anime replayed itself now in the game world. Though they had slightly interfered with the events, a few minor changes occurred, but Alvida was still sent flying by a punch from Luffy. "So, will you join my crew?" After dealing with Alvida's pirates and rescuing the merchant ship from their grasp, Luffy returned to Whitebeard with the same question. Kobe had also been rescued from Alvida, thanks to Whitebeard's request, prompted by a sudden mission notification. With Kobe saved, Whitebeard earned a satisfying reward. "I'm truly sorry, but I can't join your crew because I already have my own." At that moment, the Whitebeard pirates gathered around him, allowing Luffy to see that Whitebeard wasn't lying. With that, the earlier mission to recruit Whitebeard was rejected. Is that so? Luffy seemed disappointed upon hearing this. His face grew hazy, and his features completely disappeared. The scene was strange and unsettling for Whitebeard and his crew. No problem. Shi. I'll get my own crew too. Let's meet in the new world. See you later. Saying that, Luffy turned and left, with Kobe quickly following him. His face is still covered in fog. Is that a game glitch? Marco said in surprise. Isn't it obvious? Whitebeard was certain it was a game bug. As he spoke, his health dropped to 0, and with that, he died. His character turned to dust and scattered before the other players' eyes. Damn, Luffy's punch must have been too strong. Seeing this, Marco and the others felt a deep sense of frustration. They had no choice but to log out of the game as well. In an instant, all the players' bodies turned to dust and scattered everywhere. Elsewhere in the East Blue, the sea stretched endlessly in the eyes of Dragon, Garp, Kuma, and the other Revolutionary Army members. This place was Beginner Village number 5, Baratai Restaurant. We've already discovered some technical bugs in the game and completed our task. Why are we still here? Crocodile asked impatiently. His character in the game closely resembled his real-life self. If my guess is accurate, the Straw Hat Pirates are just a few weeks away from arriving here. Why don't we wait for them and uncover more bugs? Dragon said calmly. In the meantime, we'll earn more experience points by helping the chefs here. All members of the Revolutionary Army were dressed as cooks. Upon their arrival in this beginner village, they had been forcibly recruited by Zeph since they appeared out of nowhere. Due to their pitifully low levels, they couldn't resist Zeph and his group of wild chefs. Boahaha. I never thought the day would come when I'd taste Sanji's delicious food. My grandson is so lucky. Garp's character in the game was a young man in his 20s, bearing a strong resemblance to Luffy in appearance. He's here. Kuma spoke in a low voice as he noticed Sanji approaching from behind them. You're really strange. Sanji, smoking a cigarette, exhaled quietly before asking. Who are you people, really? And what's your purpose here at Baratai? You might be able to fool old man Zeph, but you can't fool me. Hearing this, the Revolutionary Army members exchanged confused looks. This turn of events was strange and unexpected. What had just happened? Dragon and the others truly wanted to know. Chapter 850. Beginner Village number 6. Linlin looked at the mirror with a satisfied expression, laughing. Mama. Rob will really like me a lot if he sees me like this. Charlotte Linlin had taken on a completely different appearance from her real one. Here, in the game world, she looked like an 18-year-old with fiery red hair and a slender, delicate body resembling Nami's after the 2-year time skip. The innocent look on her face was enough to drive someone like Sanji crazy. This game is truly amazing. If it weren't for the system screen she could summon from the small square in the corner of her vision, she would never have considered this world as a game. Could I achieve my dream in this game world? To gather all the races in this world in one place and live together in peace and harmony, sharing food, culture, and the magic of this world together. How wonderful it would be to succeed in this game world and replicate the same success in the real one. Would the giants in this game world hate me as well? No. My appearance is completely different here. Here, I am no longer Big Mom. I am the Queen of Allure. My level is low now, but before the Straw Hat Pirates arrive here, I'll level up quickly. Mama. Linlin laughed eagerly, thinking about what she could achieve in this game world without the interference of the real one. Status. Title, Queen of Allure. Level, 0, 10 EXP to level up, leveling unavailable. Profession. None, unlock profession after level 10. Race, human. Attribute, leader player. Map. Sea region, East Blue. Current location, Polestar Islands, Log Town, Beginner Village number 6. Her status was clear and straightforward. Since leveling up was a familiar concept from the solo leveling manhwa, Lin had quickly adapted to the idea, just like the other players. Since leveling up is unavailable in this closed beta version, I won't accept any missions. Instead, I'll focus on the mission Rob gave me. Lin sat on the bed, thinking about the task Rob had assigned her during his last visit. It seemed Katakuri and the others would return soon, she said. Of course, Charlotte Lin hadn't entered the game world alone. She had brought most of her children with her. The larger the numbers, the easier it was for Lin to accomplish the mission Rob had given her. After all, they needed to look for any anomalies in the game or unnatural events, from their perspective. For this reason, Lin sent her children to spread out across Lode Town and return only after 2 days. 2 days had passed in the game world so far. Inside an arms shop, a tall young man stood staring at a barrel filled with old swords. The swords in that barrel are just junk. If you're looking for a good sword, take a look to your right. The swords there are of excellent quality. Behind the counter, Ipponmatsu, the shopkeeper, spoke, trying to persuade the potential customer to buy a good sword instead of rummaging through the junk. Katakuri ignored the shopkeeper's words, searching the barrel with his eyes for the Sandai Kitetsu, which was among the cheap swords. After a bit of searching, he found it and smoothly pulled it out. Sandai Kitetsu. Katakuri muttered in a low voice, sensing something off about the sword. After all, it was a cursed blade. Mission. You have found one of the 21 great grade blades, the Sandai Kitetsu. Find a swordsman worthy of wielding this blade and hand it to them. Mission reward, 100 EXP, beginner level swordsmanship mastery. Katakuri's eyes gleamed when he saw the mission rewards. I'll buy this sword. Considering it's from the cheap bin, this is more than enough for it. Katakuri said flatly, tossing a 50 belly coin, a day's wage as a waiter at a nearby tavern. After logging into the game in Lode Town, their mother had ordered them to disperse, find jobs, blend into life in Lode Town, search for any anomalies, and bring her money to enjoy the game as much as possible. This was how Lin's children worked various jobs, handing her money over the past 2 days. Of course, Lin didn't take all their money. That's how the game started, extremely tough. But it seemed it wasn't difficult at all for the Big Mom pirates, who quickly adapted to the city's atmosphere and began earning money and EXP at an astonishing rate. If leveling up had been possible in this closed beta version, the Big Mom pirates would have leveled up in no time. Ipponmatsu glanced disdainfully at the young man, who appeared to be just an amateur. He didn't care what would happen to him after purchasing the cursed sword and didn't bother to warn him. He simply took the 50 belly and went back to reading the day's newspaper. Katakuri left the weapons shop satisfied. He just wanted to test whether acquiring the Sandai Kitetsu would trigger a mission. As he had anticipated, it did. Will the game force me to give it to Zoro specifically, or can I hand it to another skilled swordsman? Katakuri wondered as he carefully hid the sword in his clothes, scanning his surroundings cautiously. His level was very low, and there were plenty of pirates and thugs around. The situation wasn't safe at all. He had seen many of them in the past 2 days. These thugs hadn't bothered him before, but if one of them saw him leaving the arms shop, they would certainly cause trouble. If he had his real body, he wouldn't have cared about them, he would have crushed them to death and added them to his machi. But unfortunately, in this strange game world, he had none of his real-world achievements. Even his strong haki didn't work here. This feeling of weakness is annoying. Hey, you there, it seems you bought a good sword from Ipponmatsu's shop, didn't you? At that moment, 2 annoying voices came from behind him. Here comes trouble. Katakuri felt deeply annoyed at that moment. Kokoyashi Village. Back in beginner village number 4, the situation with the Roger pirates was somewhat intriguing. Like the Big Mom pirates, Roger and his crew quickly blended into Kokoyashi village and became villagers there. At night, Roger and his crew stood on a grassy cliff overlooking the sea. A man in a police-like uniform sat alone. So this is where Belmir, the one you told us about, is buried, Genzo, Roger said with a sad smile. You guys are still here? Why haven't you left yet? Even after I told you about the danger of Arlong and his crew? Genzo was puzzled as to why these strange men refused to leave. We'll fight alongside you to reclaim your village and your freedom, Genzo. You welcomed us sincerely, why would we abandon you now? Roger said earnestly. But Gold, tomorrow is the day those fishmen scum come to collect taxes. You have no money, do you? You'll definitely be in trouble, Sai. I barely managed to gather enough to pay my tax. Genzo was genuinely worried. He didn't want to see more innocent people die at the hands of Arlong. He also didn't give much thought to Roger's talk about fighting alongside them. They had already tried fighting these monsters before. Did it work? No. They failed. The scars on his body were proof of that failure. He didn't have the strength to confront the tyrant Arlong. Of course, Roger and his crew didn't seem to possess that power either, otherwise, they wouldn't have been stuck here with them. Trust me, Genzo. This place will soon be freed from Arlong's grasp. That's why we're not afraid of him or anyone else. Roger said with a smile, as did Rayleigh, Gabun, and the others. They all knew that Luffy and his crew would soon arrive here and destroy Arlong and his gang. I know you're just saying that to comfort me, Gold. I truly appreciate it, thank you. But please, leave. Leave this place before tomorrow. I don't want to add more graves to this spot, Genzo said, gazing sorrowfully at Belmir's grave. Roger and his crew wondered how the Golden Crow, Belmir, would react to this scene in the game. It was clear that Genzo had deep feelings for her. That wraps up this part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. The series What If Transmigrated to a Medieval Pokémon World is now on hold, since we've caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Reincarnated in Bleach as Toshiro Hitsugaya? What if Reborn in Naruto World, continuation? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.